Welcome back to That's Football. My name is Will Brazier. I'm joined by Fabrizio Romano. Fabrizio, how are you?
All good, all good. Thank you. Very busy, but thank you for the invitation and ready to answer your questions.
How many hours sleep you getting at the moment?
No, it's terrible. Then let's speak about something else.
The man is a machine. Right, let's get into it. Let's get into the business. Declan Rice, 2 weeks ago, we were chatting about it was just Arsenal. West Ham, maybe he might stay. 2 weeks is a long time. Man City enter the fold. Man United are bidding. What is the latest and where do you think he'll end up?
Yeah, honestly, at the moment, about what you mentioned, on Manchester United, I'm not aware of anything concrete at this stage. Of course, they have an interest, but at the moment, it's not something concrete in terms of bids. What I heard again today, earlier today in the morning, is that both Arsenal and Manchester City want to submit an official bid this week. In the case of Arsenal, of course, would be the third proposal. So they want to attack the situation again. They did very good progress weeks ago on the player side. So it's now time to reach an agreement with West Ham, and they will be the game. And then Manchester City. Man City are still into it. I know that in this moment there is a feeling that is more complicated for City, but they still want to try. They still want to bid. So let's see. Let's wait. I have a feeling that they will bid this week. This is the plan at Manchester City. And so this is going to be a tough one, of course, because both clubs want a player. Of course, Arsenal, again, made very good progress on the player side. Let me mention Mikel Arteta. Arteta is trying in every single way to bring Declan Rice to Arsenal. He's trying his best. Also on the player side and also in the internal discussions. But now it's also up to West Ham. West Ham want important money, close to £100 million, and also the payment terms and the deal structure are going to be two crucial points of the story. So West Ham want big part of the fee to be paid this year and then again next summer, not something in like 4 or 5 years. So also the structure of the bid is going to be crucial. Let's see, let's follow this one, but this is going to be a really important week for the Declan Rice deal.
Just on the Manchester City side of things, they're such a well-run club, but it feels from like the outside that they've come into it sort of very last minute. Do you know when they got involved? And also, will they have to move players on to sort of make this deal work for them?
No, at the moment, no, because Gundogan is gone. Of course, they bring in Mateo Kovacic is a done deal, but they still want a new midfielder. They know that also the situation of Bernardo Silva is in danger because for Bernardo Silva, there is interest from Paris Saint-Germain, very strong interest. There is also some approach coming from Saudi clubs. So they know that Bernardo's situation remains open, and this is why they want to attack the midfielder situation because Declan Rice is a player they always appreciated, honestly. In terms of your first question, they always appreciated Declan Rice. So already in January, in February, when they started thinking about the summer transfer window, Declan Rice was one of the players they mentioned internally. But they never made any bid or any direct contact because they were waiting for Ilkay Gundogan. They always wanted to wait for Gundogan before attacking any other situation in the midfield, apart of Mateo Kovacic, who they saw as a big opportunity on the market. And so this is why for Declan Rice, they entered the race at the end of last week. I would say it was like Wednesday, Thursday, when they really decided to open concrete talks and to understand the conditions of the deal. So Man City are now in, but again, Arsenal are really pushing. Arsenal will beat the game. Arsenal made very good progress on the player side, and Mikel Arteta is really doing an excellent job on a player side and internal side. But then it's about reaching an agreement with West Ham. So this is the crucial point now.
Then just finally, quickly on Arsenal, if you're an Arsenal fan, even I'm not an Arsenal fan, but I'm there thinking, we know the price, all these sharks are lurking around now. Can we not just like fourth, fifth bid? Can we not just get this bid in right now?
Honestly, I think this is more on the owners. When you do this kind of deals, it's not just the manager or the director. Also, Edu is working on this Declan Rice deal since January. But we also know that it's about the owners. When you want to spend that amount of money on one single player, you have to involve your owners. This is something crucial. And so I think it's also about them. I really hope for Arsenal fans that they will be able to make it happen because, trust me, the club in terms of director, manager, and all the people into the club, they are working hard on this Declan Rice deal since a long time. But it was the same with Mikhailo Mudryk. Mudryk was really close to joining Arsenal, and then in 24 hours, Chelsea closed the deal because they made a better proposal in few minutes, I would say, in a mission on one day. So it's crucial for Arsenal to be fast and to make the right bid at the right moment. Otherwise, it's also normal when you negotiate for top players to see other clubs jumping into the race and trying to eject the deal. So for Arsenal, it's a crucial one. I think for them it's really important to land Declan Rice, and this is why they will bid the game. So we have to follow this one also in terms of Arsenal side about how they will bid, not just how much, but what kind of structure of the bid that will be on the table for West Ham.
Right, let's focus on some more positive news for Arsenal then. Something that looks a little bit more concrete is Timber. Yeah, we're writing today that the bid's gone in and it's looking like it's going to go through.
Yeah, they made a bid in the morning. It was second bid for Jordan Timber. The opening one was turned down. I'm told that this bid is around 48 million euros, so a bit less than 50. And this is the proposal, including some add-ons. The negotiation is in very positive atmosphere with Ajax, honestly. I'm told that the relationship between the two clubs is very good. It's true that 1 year ago they wanted Lisandro Martinez at Arsenal, but at the end it was the player who was tempted by Manchester United because of Erik ten Hag. Now it's different. Arsenal are really strong in the race, also because the player wants Premier League football. So Timber is really attracted by the Arsenal project. He feels it's the best project for his skills, for his idea of football. And so Timber said yes to Arsenal. There is an agreement on personal terms. It's a 5-year contract. They agreed the salary. So everything is ready on player side. And now it's about the clubs. The second bid is there. Ajax are discussing internally, but there is a very positive feeling between Ajax and Arsenal to get this deal done this week. So this is very concrete. This is advancing very well. Let's wait for the final answer. So it's not a done deal yet, but it's progressing after this second proposal from Arsenal.
Love that. Chelsea fans have been absolutely going through my Twitter account asking for information on multiple players. One that probably surrounds not just the top 4, but the top 6 is Caicedo. What's the latest on him?
Yeah, for Caicedo, honestly, I always receive a lot of questions in the recent days, but there is no change. Why? I'm trying to explain to you. Last week, the plan of Chelsea was to make an official bid for Moises Caicedo and to start the official negotiation with Brighton, but it didn't happen because of the outgoings. Chelsea have been really busy last week with the outgoings. So they negotiated for Kai Havertz, for Mateo Kovacic, the negotiation for Mason Mount, and then 3 players sold to Saudi clubs, also negotiating for Azpilicueta to leave the club and join Inter. So many things happening. And then also some deals that is not completed yet, like Romelu Lukaku, Callum Hudson-Odoi. They're negotiating for many and many outgoings. Also, Loftus-Cheek could be on his way to Milan. The negotiation is ongoing. So they're really busy with all these kind of deals. And then they will enter into concrete negotiations with Brighton for Moises Caicedo. They also know that probably this is not going to be a fast deal. It's never easy to negotiate with Brighton. They're always tough in the negotiations for their top players. And this is why Chelsea know that it's important to do the things at the right moment, with the right proposal, and with the right timing. So I'm sure they will bid. I'm sure they will try to land Moises Caicedo. He's one of the top targets at the club. Personal terms are almost agreed. So on player side, Chelsea feel they have the control of the situation for Moises Caicedo. But also in this case, it's important to reach an agreement between clubs. Otherwise, other clubs can jump into the race. But again, at the moment, Chelsea are confident on the player side because they almost agreed personal terms and they know that Caicedo is prepared to say yes to Chelsea. So it's about clubs negotiation, but the priority at Chelsea now until the end of the week is going to be complete the outgoings. Next ones are Hakim Ziyech, Edu Mendy, and all the others, and then enter into concrete negotiations for Moises Caicedo with Brighton.
Well, it sort of ties into my next question as well. Obviously, the Nico Jackson deal done and the Cuckoo coming in as well. Does that mean that they're not looking for a number 9? Is that their sort of striking options done, or are they still in the market for a number 9?
I think we can't predict this now, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of closing the market in June, like saying, okay, they will not do anything else in that position, because, maybe you can change your mind during the preseason. You can change your mind after checking on some players during July or the beginning of August. So at the moment, they're very happy with Nico Jackson. They will sign this deal between today and tomorrow. He completed the medical yesterday, so everything is done. It's going to be a 8-year deal with payment terms easier than the release clause was in just one solution. So they will pay a bit more, 37 million euros. Instead of 35, but they will play in many years. And so the agreement is done. Nico Jackson is coming, and then together with Mauricio Pochettino, to understand also the opinion of Pochettino on players who are already at Chelsea, including Armando Broja. I'm hearing that Armando Broja is one of the players he's really appreciated by Mauricio Pochettino. He wants to try working with him during the preseason and then to make a decision on the new striker. So let me say that in general, the strikers market for Osimhen, for many others, has not started yet. This domino of strikers has not started yet. So at the moment for Chelsea is Nico Jackson, and then we will see.
Because you mentioned there, obviously, about Chelsea trying to sort their outgoings on. That's obviously on the business side of things. But do you think a lot will change when Pochettino gets these players on the pitch on the 1st of July?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really important moment, especially for the young players, because Chelsea have many young players at the club, and Pochettino wants to keep an eye on them, feel how they are really on the pitch, and not just from what he's seeing of videos, of course, and this kind of stuff. So, for example, Andrei Santos is one of the players who's going to be at Chelsea for the preseason, and for Mauricio Pochettino, it's really important to understand how the player will react to the first training sessions, to the first friendly games. Let's see also what happens with Casadei, who did excellent at the Under-20 World Cup. So there are many talents at Chelsea, but they want to do the right decisions for many players. I mentioned Broja, but there are really many, including Chalobah, Pogba. I think Levy Colwill is going to be a crucial situation. Brighton had a bid rejected for £30 million. They wanted to try again for £40 million, but for Chelsea, it's a no. They want to keep the player, and selling Koulibaly is probably a message also to Levy Colwill, like, okay, we trust you and we want you to be part of our squad for next season. So Mauricio Pochettino will do kind of hard work during the preseason to decide on single players, who is going on loan, who is going to be sold, and who is going to stay at Chelsea.
One of the players that I saw has been linked with Chelsea, and I've even seen Aston Villa linked with him, is Aymeric Laporte. Do you know anything about that, or is that just hearsay at the moment?
No, I'm sure that there is a possibility for Laporte to leave Manchester City. Of course, we have to respect the player and the club and wait for concrete things. At the moment, a lot of reports about Tottenham, Aston Villa, Spanish clubs, but still nothing is concrete. So it's not something advanced. There is a lot of interest. Of course, he's a fantastic centre-back, and it's normal for many clubs to be informed, but it's not an advanced negotiation yet. I think this could be a possibility, especially in case Manchester City will really reach an agreement with Red Bull Leipzig for Josko Gvardiol. This situation of Laporte depends on Josko Gvardiol. Gvardiol is a top target for Man City this summer. They will bid for Gvardiol. They have an agreement with the player on a long-term contract, so Gvardiol said yes to Man City. He's also aware, his camp, of course, of the big interest of Pep Guardiola. So not just the board, but Pep is a big fan of Gvardiol. He's convinced that Gvardiol will become a top centre-back in the future. The point is, Leipzig want to make Gvardiol the most expensive centre-back in the history of the game. So it's more than 80 million euros, and they probably want something around 100 million euros. So let's see how the exchange between Red Bull Leipzig and Manchester City will be. But depending on Josko Gvardiol's situation, we will understand more, I think, in the next 2-3 weeks on Aymeric Laporte too.
I know you do stuff on the United stand, but Mark would sack me unless I brought up links with Rabiot for looking like a bid-in for Wednesday. Is there any news on that?
Yeah, for Rabiot, there is a conversation. This is not something new. I think we heard some rumors in the last 24 hours, but it's basically the same situation. The mother of the player, Veronique, who is taking care of the negotiations for Adrien Rabiot, also had some conversation with Manchester United back in April. Same happened in May. So there's always been exchange between Manchester United and Adrien Rabiot. Still waiting for the player to decide. I think it's on Rabiot now. Juventus made an important proposal to Adrien Rabiot to stay at the club, with Massimiliano Allegri, the manager, directly involved in the conversation to convince Rabiot to stay at the club and to be Juventus player next season. So there is this strong conversation between Juventus and Rabiot, and also interest from United. So it's on the player now to say, okay, I'm not staying at Juventus, I will leave on a free. And he really dreams of Premier League football. Otherwise, if he wants to stay at Juventus, of course, it will be over for Man United. But this week is going to be important. Juventus are waiting for a final answer from Adrien Rabiot this week.
One that was looking like it was getting close to a done deal, but sort of gone a little bit quiet, is James Madison. Looked like Spurs was the destination, but do you have any information on him?
Yeah, there will be more contacts, I think, this week. And if it's not going to happen this week, it could be next week. But there is a concrete negotiation, a concrete discussion between Tottenham and the player side. They have an excellent relationship with the agency taking care of James Madison, which is the same agency of the manager, Ange Postecoglou. So the connection is very good. And I'm also told that Postecoglou is a big fan of the player. So this is why Madison remains in the list at Tottenham. It's also true that Newcastle still retain an interest in Madison. They really appreciate him. They have the player in the list since last summer. So it's Newcastle and Tottenham. But for Newcastle, this week is crucial to announce the Sandro Tonali deal. This is done. So everything is almost completed, but it's about the final documents to be signed. And then Sandro Tonali will be unveiled as new Newcastle player. And then we will see where Madison is going. But I still think that for Tottenham is a priority, and they will have more contacts in the next days. So I know it's probably slow. I know the fans want new player as soon as possible, but this is the transfer window sometimes.
Right, we're nearly at the end of our time with you, but obviously the big one on everyone's lips is sort of Saudi Arabia. Bernardo Silva linked to be going out with there. We sort of had the big moves from Chelsea. Is there any sort of moves that we can see maybe catching us off a little bit guard?
Yeah, I think this Saudi story will continue. This Saudi story will continue for sure in the next days, because they're trying to land many players. For example, the last one is Roberto Firmino, who is in very advanced negotiations with Al Ahly. They're still trying to tempt Riyad Mahrez, but it's not easy because they have to reach an agreement with Man City too, and Man City want really important money for Mahrez. Otherwise, the player is not leaving. So they will attack many situations and many players in the next days and weeks. We have to see also what happens with other potential deals with Chelsea, like Hudson-Odoi. They also have an idea to try to tempt Hudson-Odoi, but at the moment it's still not something advanced. For Bernardo Silva, it's true that they have a strong interest. It's true that they're prepared to make an important proposal to the player, but from what I'm hearing, Bernardo has not decided yet. Bernardo is taking his time. He has proposals from Saudi, proposal from Manchester City to stay at the club and probably extend the contract. So Man City are still trying to keep the player, because after losing Gundogan, is a priority for City to keep Bernardo. But keep an eye also on Paris Saint-Germain, because the director of Paris Saint-Germain is Luis Campos, who already had Bernardo Silva at Monaco as a player. He created Bernardo Silva as a player at Monaco, and so is a top target for PSG, Bernardo Silva, and I'm sure they will try again in the next days after announcing Luis Enrique as new coach.
Final one from me. I'm a Birmingham City fan, so this top 6 is a bit of nonsense to me. Any good news for me, Fabrizio? You got anything good for me?
Next week, I think. Next week. Give me some time and I will bring you some
You'll keep saying there'll be 2 weeks, then another 2 weeks, but we'll leave it there.
Exactly.
Thank you very much for your time today, Fabrizio, and we'll be chatting again in 2 weeks, and you'll be back on the United stand soon. Cheers. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.